So, Radical Cap has uploaded another video called What Happened to Shooters and Who Screwed It Up. Now, I really enjoyed the last video I watched from this guy, so I'm gonna react to this one, and if it retained the same level of quality, man, this one is gonna be a good one.
Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you played a shooter that you really enjoyed? It may not
CS:GO.
have been that long ago, but then I'll ask you again. When was this game released? I can see that you're thinking
Yeah.
right now. Most likely, this game was released a long time ago. Although we can say that
Wow, dude, straight from the start, he hit the nail right on the head. That's actually crazy. That's actually crazy.
this genre has simply died, and that studios have focused on other games. Actually, no. Shooters are still released quite often.
Yeah.
However, most of them are just bad at best. Maybe we have 1 or 2 good shooters a year, but compared to what this game used to look like, it's a shame. Just look at how many good, great, and truly legendary shooters were released back then.
The good
all
old days.
in 1 year. For me personally, this genre is quite personal. These were the first games I played as a kid. I still remember Wolfenstein Return to Castle, which terrified me as a child. The first Far Cry, which seemed incredibly realistic at the time, and of course the first 2 Call of Duty games, which probably
Oh my God,
incredibly
look
realistic
at
the
that.
time, and of course the first 2
Look at that. Oh my God, when Call of Duty used to have some guts, man. Holy, the cover looked amazing. That is so good to look at. My God, everything today is so... It's so devoid of life. It just... Man, I wish we could have gone to the old days. The glory days of gaming. This was truly the golden era. We just didn't appreciate it.
Call of Duty games, which probably made me fall in love with video games. If it wasn't for these shooters, maybe I wouldn't be playing video games now.
Stories
I
were
would be
so
making
good
these
as well.
videos, and I would have a good life. Fuck! I used to play Battlefield 2 as a kid saying, I can't wait for the future. The improvement of the game is going to be so insane. Holy fucking shit. But how is that shooters, once the most popular genre, which in fact had the greatest impact on the heyday
BioShock,
of the
oh
gaming
my
industry,
God.
have now degraded the most? It is the
What a
games that
game.
are most loved by the audience that receive the least attention from developers today. And I don't want to say that the gaming industry is getting worse in general. No. We have many examples where genres such as online games, co-op, and almost every popular...
Well, to be fair, when you say the gaming industry, it's a very, like, it's an umbrella term, I guess. It's such a huge blanket to cast over. So, basically, yeah, he's technically right and wrong at the same time. So, the gaming industry in general, I think, is going to a bad place in terms of AAA gaming. I think AAA gaming today suck, but it also goes in a really great direction where indie developers are actually coming on top and they make the best games we've ever seen in a few decades. Honestly, indie games right now are insanely good. So yeah, there are a lot of good things, but I think overall the companies that we know, that we knew and loved back in the day are just fumbling the bag so hard right now. And it's just unfortunate to see. So in general, I think we're kind of going into a really bad place of microtransactions, development cost being like prioritized, and insanely short deadlines that just make developers just, not making a very good job. So overall, I think the gaming industry is in a really bad spot, and we clearly seen this with Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed Shadows, which was, oh my God, absolutely horrendous. And yeah, it's not good. But there are plenty of good things to look for as well. Again, Baldur's Gate 3, for an example, really good one.
The genre are still holding the bar, and in each of them, we regularly get at least a few really strong releases a year. But for some reason, shooters are the most random releases today. In most cases, every new game is a disappointment. And for a long time, I couldn't understand why this particular...
How many shooter games have died in the past, 2 years? That is... We had so many shooter games just die or became stale and eventually not profitable. So you had the Portal game that I remember right off the top. I don't remember everything because there were so many bad games. You had the Portal game, like Splitgate, I believe it's called. They re-released it as Splitgate 2 now, if I'm not mistaken. Which, by the way, was a good game, actually. But unfortunately, it wasn't just enough. You had that, I think it was the Ubisoft Gate, the Ubisoft game, sorry, which was supposed to be like the next Call of Duty, ended up fumbling. We had Concord, which, my God, this was straight up horrendous. It lived for a week and then died with the worst numbers I've ever seen in my entire life. And yeah, we had more games, just shooter games constantly dying because... Unfortunately, it's not that the market is saturated, it's that people are trying to hop on trends rather than do something new. So at least I can appreciate Splitgate for actually doing something cool and not trying to emulate other people. Unfortunately, this game also crashed and burned, but hey, we have Splitgate 2 now, so yeah. The original Splitgate was, like, closed.
Particular genre has fallen so far behind the rest. I couldn't understand it until now. It
Share
was
with
the
us your insight.
mid-2010s, and the gaming market was exploding. New generation
So
consoles
good.
were becoming more and more popular. Online gaming was becoming the mainstream, and DLC and digital distribution platforms were emerging. What was once just a product is turning into an entire ecosystem. Developers are beginning to realize now that
Far Cry 3 was so goated, man. I remember playing this on my like cousin's Xbox 360 back in the day because my PC couldn't run it. I had like a really trash PC. Wow, what a game this was. It was so fun. It was so damn good.
nowadays a game is not just about selling it. It needs to be maintained. For a game to live, you need to return
Voss
to it.
is
And for
goated.
a player to return, they need to be kept. And at this moment, we see how the very popular Call of Duty franchise has started to repeat itself very often.
Yeah.
And
It's
this is
literally the
very
same.
understandable. They are already releasing the 7th or 8th installment, but these self-repetitions are no longer happening in the franchise, but in the middle of even one game. The missions become trivial, boring, lacking something new, but still, shooters are still at a pretty good level. If in the early 2000s we received campaigns for different countries when we were thrown into different epic locations of the Second World War, then in the conditional world at war, this was no longer surprising to players. Anyway, this is a topic for a separate video, but I miss good shooters about the Second World War so much. When we played these first Medal of Honor or Call of Duty 2, and now you can see these dubious attempts to do something in this set from Activision and EA, you realize that modern game developers are detached not only from history, but also from reality. By the way, let's
Yep.
recall the Battlefield series, which became popular due to its unique map design, realistic physics, and the scale of the battle. Also began its
Such a
transformation
good
in
game.
the same period, the first half of the decade. And yes, Bad Company 2 was also not bad. But it is already clear how developers have reached their peak in game design and the internal structure of their projects. Almost all shooter mechanics were perfected then. We got good stealth shooters, great realistic military simulators, and trashy action games like Bulletstorm.
Well, you already think that the game has been perfected until something else come with a new idea. So, it's not really true, but yeah, Battlefield was peak. I think Battlefield 1 was the best one. Maybe, like, I'm wrong about this. Maybe I'm in the minority here, but I think Battlefield 1 was amazing. I spent so many hours on that game. I literally bought a new PC to play it. Dude, it was incredible. It was so much fun. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't played this game, Bulletstorm, literally go and buy it right now for like $1 and play it. It's one of the best games I've ever played. It's so damn fun. I don't know what happened with the studio. I believe they just went and made like different games. But Bulletstorm was so goated. It's such a great game. It's literally the most fun game I've ever played. It's one of the best shooters out there.
This was the
Super
peak,
short,
and
unfortunately.
as always happens, after
But really
the
good.
peak, there is an inevitable decline. It's not that players didn't care about it, but publishers realized that if this genre wasn't changing somehow, it would most
There
likely
he
stop
is.
being played.
There
And
he
even the
is.
biggest franchises could
Bobby.
not. At this point, publishers started creating games not to impress, but to retain. Instead of remember, it was come back tomorrow. And this is where the shooter genre became the perfect candidate for a destroy and monetize project. This genre is simple in its basic mechanics, with a huge audience and the highest interaction rate. It doesn't require lengthy explanations or long tutorials, complex mechanics, or a deep plot that not everyone will understand. Every
Yeah.
shot, every kill, every action of the player is a ready-made trigger for a small reward that can be
Well, again, I think that's kind of true and not true. I mean, yes, people just want to shoot stuff and have a really great combat experience, but I think story does matter. I mean, people still remember Call of Duty story. Like, Call of Duty story is so great, right? I mean, it used to evoke so many emotions in you. It was truly just a great writing and great story. It was very simple, but it was really good. So I think it's kind of a mix of both. People really want a great story, but yeah, they want a really great gameplay as well.
instantly
Gameplay is
converted-
king after all.
that can be instantly converted into a way to make money. It is this speed and simplicity that has made shooters the most convenient field for experimenting with seasonal battle passes, cosmetic items, temporary events, and endless reward cycles. Because
Yep.
the simpler the mechanics, the easier it is to add something bright and unnecessary to it. Something that doesn't
Absolutely.
change the game, but creates a habit. From about 2015 to 2020, shooters finally lost their face. But the worst thing is not even that they started to change. The scary thing is how quickly they agreed to abandon everything that made them a genre. And if we're talking about the fact that developers now needed to retain the player rather than surprise them, it is obvious that online shooters have become a priority for publishers. It all started with hybrids. Overwatch is a shooter where you have to shoot, but it's not the main thing. The focus there is not on controlling the situation. It's not on shooting, and not on decision making, but on flow. It's on constant action, on animations, on something happening all the time. Destiny went even further. Instead of the classic levels, there are hubs, strikes, and endless replays.
Well, to be fair, both of these games are really good. I mean, 2016 Overwatch, when the game was released, was groundbreaking and revolutionary. So you can't just outright deny it and saying it was focused on a completely different thing. Like, technically, I guess, yeah. But the game actually brought something new to the table, and we can always appreciate that. It was truly revolutionary. Same thing with Destiny. I think Destiny is such a phenomenal game. Obviously been totally corrupted by Bungie, which is a company that just sucks. And the game could have been so much more. But the game itself is insanely good. It's insanely good.
What used to be a structured shooter has now dissolved into grind. After the first 10 hours, you're not interested in the game. You just do it because something new will come up. Not even better, just different.
Not true.
Then
not
Valorant
really true.
came along. Mechanically, it looked like Counter-Strike, and visually, it looked like shit. Apex and Warzone don't even feel like shooters anymore. It's just pure dopamine.
What? Okay, you kind of lost me there. What do you mean Apex doesn't feel like shooter? Of course it feels like a shooter. I played Apex for a long time. But yeah, not for like years or something, but like for 6 months. But it was more than enough to just learn the game and, have fun on it. What do you mean it's not feel like a shooter? Of course it feels like a shooter. Not every single shooter needs to feel like CSGO or Call of Duty. You have different types, and that's totally fine. I mean, I can appreciate the fact that Apex brought something new to the table, like this high mobility battle royale stuff, and not PUBG, which was dominant at the time and kind of started this whole era of, every company trying to make a battle royale now. So I can always appreciate like Fortnite and Apex doing their own thing. I think that's good. So I can't really follow him there.
One match and you don't even remember what just happened. The second one and you already don't want to stop. Not because it's good, because it's always flashing, moving, and exploding.
But if you enjoy it, it is good. I mean, what are you trying to say? That flashy isn't good? Some people like flashy animation. So for example, you have the new game, Freakpunk, right? Which is hyper flashy, everything is super colorful, and a lot of people are enjoying it. I mean, that's a good thing. I enjoy the game. I think the card system is great and all that stuff, super flashy. I love this type of animations. I can't see what he's trying to say here. I don't understand. I mean, I guess he's trying to say that they're trying to get you addicted by putting all those stuff in, which I guess it's true, like it increases dopamine and all that stuff. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, if you enjoy the game, it's good. I don't think everyone is playing Apex because of addiction. I think the game is just really, really great.
Your brain doesn't have time to process anything. It just rides the inertia. And considering it's an online shooter audience, well, let's just say the bar for cognitive processing wasn't that high to begin with. Simply put, Call of Duty has turned into cash on duty. But yes, I was just talking about multiplayer. Of course, it's easy enough to criticize something that objectively contains a bunch of shit in it. However, story-driven shooters, which were once the backbone of not only this genre, but the industry as a whole, have also degraded. And they degraded for a rather miserable reason. In fact, when I first researched this topic for this video, I initially wondered why story-based games have been so heavily downgraded and simplified. It's clear why online games should be focused on player retention, not on one-time enjoyment. But story-based games, in theory, should just give you a good experience and that's it, right? Maybe once. But nowadays, story-based shooters are no longer directly profitable. They can't be sold in parts, they can't be milked for years, they can't be broken down into seasons. You complete the game, and that's it. It's over. You're left with an impression, but no profit for the developers. And looking at this, publishers have found the only way to use story-based shooters properly. They simply turn them into a decorative addition to multiplayer, into a marketing wrapper, which is needed not as a new exciting experience, but as content that they will use for their trailer. Here's the hero of the center of an explosive chase. Here's an NPC saying something pretentious. Here are the rendered cutscenes. That is, everything that was relevant 10 years ago. Is there really no room for the genre to develop further? The paradox is that budgets have grown, technology has soared, the possibilities are endless, and ambitions have become less.
So he's actually kind of right about that. Nowadays, most story modes are kind of being used as a Trojan horse for the multiplayer. You just use it as a very good wrapper just for people to come into the game and then get hooked on the multiplayer. So most story mode today are actually super short and unappealing, and you just get like maybe few good hours of gameplay out of them, and then you just hop onto multiplayer.
If you look at the development of the genre in the 90s, it was explosive. From Doom 2 to Call of Duty 2, from Half-Life to Modern Warfare, everything changed in 5 years. Game design, pacing, storytelling, level structure, quality of production. Each game tried to surpass the previous one to do something that hasn't been done before. It was a period when the genre was constantly evolving, when you got a new game every year, but it was definitely superior
Metro was
to
so
almost
good.
all of the previous ones. Nowadays, story-driven FPSs are no longer products of inspiration. They have been a costly part. They're not made because someone wants to say something. They're made because without that campaign button in the main menu, the whole game just feels incomplete, empty, and when creativity becomes a decoration, it dies. And of course, publishers don't need it. And even more so, players didn't need it either. In 2018, when Activision released Call of Duty
Oh
Black Ops
god,
4
don't tell
without
me.
a traditional story mode, focusing exclusively on multiplayer, the
Are
developers
you-
explained that more players spent more time in online modes, and the campaigns became less relevant.
Oh my god, are you telling me Call of Duty 4 literally launched without a story mode? Dude, I mean, I know Activision has lost its soul, but man, at least have the decency to put few hours of story. Man, what the hell?
Well, as for me, it was the Black Ops sub-series that had the strongest plots in the entire franchise. EA did the same thing. They realized that they had made the single-player campaign in Battlefield 5 so shitty and thought
Yep.
that only multiplayer in Battlefield 2042 would be enough for players.
Wow, okay, I have to say this, like Battlefield 1 story, and I'm sorry, I'm glazing Battlefield 1 too much this video, but I have to, it was such a superior game. The story on Battlefield 1, while it was extremely short, it was compromised of like super short stories. The mission where you played as a pilot and just flew into the sunset and just getting people out from the skies, dude, it was such a great mission. Holy, I forgot the name of it. It was so damn good. The stories themselves, they were amazing. They were super short, but the campaign was so good. It was so good.
And sadly, this is really enough for the audience. So maybe the problem is with us. Maybe we've become so dumb, and there's simply no point in developers trying for us. We
No.
don't play games anymore. We just move by inertia. We don't think, plan, or study. We just react.
Well, that's clearly not the case, and Baldur's Gate 3 completely shattered that mindset where single-player games or games that take time to consider and, you know, you need to plan your moves ahead are not popular or something like that. Baldur's Gate 3 clearly shattered that mindset, and a lot of people have realized that these games are what people actually enjoy. Now, if they're the most profitable, I gotta admit, probably not, right? I mean, at the end of the day, player retention is king in terms of monetization. That is true, but to say that they're not profitable at all is just a blatant lie.
Shot is a reaction. A sound is a reaction. A flash is a reaction. It's like when you're scrolling through your racist meme algorithms in Reels, and each new clip beats the last one just by being new. Your brain doesn't have time to process anything. This means that no experience is created. There is no I remember left. Only.
But the same applies for quitting a game. So if you don't have any attachment to a game, it's just easier to quit. And that's why you see so many of these games fumbling to the ground and just crashing and burning, right? Some games do succeed and they have this scummy monetization. But most games just burn, dude. But people to this day still remember Call of Duty. Like the old Call of Duty because it's so good. The old Battlefield because it's so good. So many people to this day play CSGO. Like over 1 million players a day play CSGO right now. So these games at the end of the day has an insane retention because they're so damn good, and longevity is king. And also you want to build a product. When you constantly make a game that sucks, again, let's take Overwatch for example, no one is going to transfer to a new game. And that's exactly what happened with Overwatch 2. A lot of people played Overwatch 1. It was game-breaking, revolutionary, and actually a really great game. But it lost its soul, and nobody really transferred to Overwatch 2. And that's unfortunate. I mean, the game is just a dead game now. It just relies on whales.
I'll play a little more. And this is the ideal state for a developer. Because if the player doesn't remember, they don't get tired. If they don't get tired, They don't ask questions. They don't notice that nothing changes from mission to mission, from year to year. Shooters are no longer...
They do notice. It just takes time to kind of get out of the habit of playing that game. But I don't think Call of Duty is running the same numbers that it had before. I don't think, again, Overwatch doesn't have the same numbers it has before, but if you look at CSGO, it has the same numbers, the same exact numbers, because this game is just insanely good.
Built on innovation, new mechanics, and unique design, but rather on psychological loops that don't ask you to solve something, but ask you to keep going. This constant stimulation can lead to a state of hyperarousal, a fucking complicated word that basically means your brain is stuck in a state of constant overexcitement. This makes
Your
it
brain
difficult
is
to
fried.
concentrate, manage emotions and impulses, and can cause sleep problems. In addition, excessive use of this type of video game can change the activity in certain areas of the brain, similar to changes seen in other types of addiction, and there is even research on this topic. And maybe I sound a little bit like an angry parent who constantly forbids playing these stupid computer games, but it's just psychology. The dependence on fast dopamine hits in shooters is similar to the mechanisms used in social networks like TikTok. Each like or video view triggers a dopamine release, which creates a positive reinforcement cycle and can lead to addiction. Thus, players may feel the need to return to the game or platform looking for the next dose of pleasure. And it's a good thing that old school developers, 2 decades ago, didn't give a shit about all this player psychology and how to keep their audience for years. They created and wanted to surprise. And once upon a time, they created something that we still want to return to. And I'm already expecting a lot of comments from angry kids who are fanatical about the games popular now. But I really feel sorry for you, because we grew up with much better games.
He's actually right. He's actually right about this one.
That's a rat, boys.
Okay, yeah, great video. Great video. He had some controversial takes there, but overall, yeah, he's right. I mean, games today are reliant on dopamine hits and constant fixation of giving you your daily dose of dopamine. I think that's why MMOs, I mean, I know he's talking about shooters, but I think that's why MMOs have all these pop-ups when you log into the game. Personally, as a boomer, I see this and I immediately quit the game. I don't even bother playing. But I understand why a new generation that doesn't have any idea how games used to be before just gets addicted to these type of games. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think this game like this has longevity. But hey, I mean, we only have to wait and see for ourselves, right? But I agree with this point of single-player games completely losing their soul. I think there are plenty of good single-player games, and I think we're going in the right direction these days, where a lot of companies are kind of leaving AAA companies and creating their own studios and making good games like we used to back in the day. So I think there is hope. Not all is lost, but I get his point. Overall, really great video. Gonna leave a link in the description so you guys can watch it for yourself and give it a like. But yeah, make sure to let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But that's all for now. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.